If you love a good soft and chewy cookie full of white chocolate and macadamia nuts, these cookies are for you. Stop what you're doing and make them. They're so good and totally addicting. And I think cookies can be a little tricky, so I'm going to show you all my tips today. Hi, I'm Lindsay from Life, Love, and Sugar, and today we're making white chocolate macadamia nut cookies. So the first thing we're going to want to do is combine our dry ingredients. We've got some all-purpose flour here. Now you really want to make sure that you measure this accurately. Small differences in your flour can make a big difference in the way your cookie turns out. The best thing you can do is use a food scale. If you don't have one, I suggest stirring up your flour with a spoon and then measuring it with your measuring spoon. And we've got some baking soda. I actually really like baking soda in cookies because I think generally it gives you a softer, chewier cookie, and it's going to stay that way for longer. And then a little salt. Never forget your salt. It adds nice flavor. And then we'll whisk those together. We'll set this aside while we work on the rest of our ingredients. The next thing we're going to work with is our sugars. We're using white sugar and brown sugar. Brown sugar adds really nice moisture and flavor, so we've got a mix of the two. And then we're going to add our butter, which is at room temperature. So we're going to pop this on our mixer and cream it together. You want to let it cream for about 4 minutes. Scrape down the size of the bowl as much as you need, and just make sure you get a nice fluffy consistency, and you should really see it lighten in color. All right, so when everything is fully creamed together, you're ready to move on. I'll go ahead and give you a visual of what you're looking for, in case you aren't familiar. So you can see how it's gotten this really nice, creamy, fluffy texture to it. And you can also see how it started out a little bit darker in color, and now it's actually a lot lighter. So next we're gonna add in our egg yolk. Stir that in there until it's pretty well combined. Then we can add in our full egg. All right, we'll go ahead and add our vanilla extract. All right, once all that's combined, we're going to add our dry ingredients. We don't want to over-mix it, so once it's all kind of nicely mixed and maybe there's just a touch of flour left, we're going to take this bowl off the mixer and kind of finish with our spatula. So things have just started to come together. It is a pretty thick cookie dough. And you can see there's a little bit of flour around in there, and we're gonna just go ahead and mix that in ourselves. Just make sure you're getting everything incorporated in there. At this point, I'm also gonna add just a touch of milk to help everything come together at the end. It's only gonna be about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half. You really don't want to add too much additional liquid to these cookies, or they could spread too much in the oven. So you just want to add enough that it kind of brings everything together. So I'm going to do about 1, maybe 1.5 teaspoons. Now the fun part. We've got our macadamia nuts and our white chocolate chips. We'll just stir those in, and then we'll be ready to make our balls. Okay, so this is a cookie dough that I think is best to refrigerate prior to baking. The moisture really kind of soaks up into the cookies, and you just get a softer and chewier cookie. It stays that way for longer. It's definitely better. You want to refrigerate it for at least 2 to 3 hours, if not overnight. And so I actually like to make my cookie dough balls before I refrigerate it. That way when they come out of the fridge, it's easy to pop them right in the oven. I do 2 tablespoon sized balls of cookie dough. One thing to note when you're making cookies is if you have larger balls of cookie dough or smaller, that also affects the way they spread. A larger ball of cookie dough is going to spread more. So just keep that in mind as you're making your cookie dough balls. If you reduce it or increase it, your cookies may turn out a little differently. I've never really liked any of the cookie scoops that I've used, so I just use my tablespoon and then measure out 2 of those. And I'll just roll these into a nice ball. And you just want to keep going until you've used all of your cookie dough. When you're done making your cookie dough balls, you want to pop these in the fridge for about 3 hours or overnight. So after your cookie dough has chilled in the fridge, you want to let them sit out for about an hour to soften, and then you'll pop them onto your cookie sheet. I like to use a cookie sheet lined with a silicone baking mat, but you can use parchment paper too if you prefer. You could pop them in the oven just like that, or you can kind of add a couple extra chocolate chips and nuts if you like, just so they have kind of a pretty look in them when they come out of the oven. And now we're ready to pop these in the oven, and they bake for about 8 minutes in my oven. All ovens are a little different, so adjust if you need to for your oven. Okay, so once your cookies come out of the oven, if you find that they spread a little more than you want to, or you just want to shape them a little differently, you can actually use a spoon and just kind of tuck the edges in. They should spread nicely. If they haven't spread as much as you want, there are a couple possibilities. One could be that you overmeasured your flour a little bit. The other could be that maybe the cookie dough was a little cold when it went in the oven. The other possibility is with a cookie like these with all these mix-ins. If you have a cookie that has a lot more of the macadamia nuts and white chocolate chips than another one, it could just be that they kind of stayed in a mound in the middle of the cookies, and so it just didn't spread very well. So those are some things you can pay attention to with your cookies, and some ways you can kind of make adjustments. So when your cookies have cooled, you can put them in an airtight container and store them for a couple of days, or just go ahead and put them on a nice serving platter and serve them right to your guests. They're ready to go. These cookies are soft, chewy, nice and thick, and they are full of white chocolate chips and macadamia nuts. They are so delicious. I really hope you enjoy them. For the full recipe, head over to lifeloveandsugar.com.